We have just finished comparing words to a graph. Now we've got two different forms of a function to compare. In this problem, we're talking about trains in Asia. We've got a Chinese train and a Japanese train. And we know how fast the Japanese train travels because they give us an equation. The equation is m equals 140h, where m represents miles traveled and h represents the number of hours. Now, we want to be able to compare this to the other train, but the other train's speed is represented in a table. And so we need to be able to find the rate of change from the table. And we do that by finding the change in y over the change in x. So if we look at this table, we notice that each time our change in y is 217, and our change in x, or the number of hours, is 1. So our change in y over change in x is 217, or just 217. So our slope for the first equation is 140. We can tell that from the coefficient of h. And our slope in the table is 217. So if we're going to compare these two, we know that the Japanese train can travel 140 miles per hour, and the Chinese train can travel 217 miles per hour. So if we're comparing them, we know that the Chinese train is in fact faster. Now they've added a simple question, a second question, to this problem, where they want to know how far will we travel after 5 hours on either train. So if we're working with the Japanese train, since they have already provided an equation for us, we simply substitute 5 in for the number of hours. So 140 times 5, and we get 700. So 5 hours on a Japanese train, and you will travel 700 miles. Well, now what about the Chinese train? Well, we could also come up with a function or equation, or we could simply extend the table that has already been provided for us. And if we choose to do that, we'll just follow using the changes that they've already provided. So if we add another 217, we will end up with 868. And if we add 217 one more time, we end up with 1,085. And that would be after 5 hours. On the Chinese train, we know that we will travel 1,085 miles after 5 hours. All right, I would like you to try a similar problem for yourself. It is a got it problem. It is actually at the top of the next page, page 312.